who's going to be my co-host for today's festivities, talking about the Best of Earth Festival. And we're joined by a panel of wonderful colleagues who are part of the contributing festivals and representatives of Best of Earth itself. So I want to just take a moment to welcome everyone. Thanks for coming here today. We've got people from all around the world. We're so excited to be able to spend this time with you talking about this really exciting festival today. So let me introduce my co-host. Dr. Michaela French is an artist, lecturer, and researcher working with light and time-based media across a broad range of artistic contexts. Michaela produces innovative artworks for museums and gallery exhibitions and creates award-winning immersive media experiences in 360-degree Fulldome space. Michaela is a committed advocate for the creative potential of Fulldome as an artistic medium and is co-founder and chair of the Fulldome Creative Network. Welcome, Michaela.
Hello, thanks very much for having me, and welcome everybody.
Welcome.
So great to be here, feeling pretty excited, Michael.
Absolutely. Now we've got a great panel and a great topic lined up to talk about how we're promoting the best content in the world in the Fulldome medium, and also to expose this to a greater audience around the world, which I think is really critical at this point in our in the space where the medium is really growing and becoming more visible than it ever has. So that's really exciting. So I wanted to take a moment.
Just before you introduce, can we just kind of advise people that while you're doing the introductions and presentations, that it's probably best to view the event in speaker mode. So rather than gallery mode, just then you'll get the kind of full screen. So recommending that for now, and maybe as we go to conversation, you want to play with what works best for you. But speaker mode for now would probably be a good idea. Back to you.
Sounds like a great plan. Perfect. So to kick things off, I'd like to introduce Mickey Raymond, who is the head of the Best of Earth Festival, and he's going to share a PowerPoint to tell us a little bit more about the festival to get us started, and we'll go from there. So welcome, Mickey.
Yes, hello. Thank you very much for introducing this, and also thank you for iMERSA to have the courage to say, okay, Best of Earth sounds a bit preposterous. I mean, who are we to claim that we are the best? No one has channeled that claim, by the way, so far. But there is a story about this, and the story is pretty much like how we are connected at this very moment. There are people from all over the world. I think, I assume everybody has some experience or some ambition around Fulldome, and each of these people have a background in getting more attention, wanting to get more attention. And this is the uniting theme that brought a couple of people together. I think it was now three years ago, to think, well, no individual festival can be the best. But when we team up and form a collaborative organization, which isn't even an organization, it's just a group of friends who say, let's try to amplify the effect that Fulldome festivals have now and see what strategies we can bring up to broaden the range of and let more people know about why this is so beautiful. I think there can be not big dispute about the fact that Fulldome is just a beautiful medium, that it has a lot of potential, but potential alone isn't realizing and having success and having an impact in the world. I'm not sure, since someone is probably in the cockpit and could start the presentation that is waiting somewhere in cyberspace. And yeah, there it is. It starts, I mean, life starts with a logo. In the beginning, there was a logo, and this is Best of Earth, created by Ryan Moore from Domefest West. And it has the laurels that everybody deserves who advances in the jury process of creating Best of Earth awards into the final nomination round. So I mentioned we are 5 festivals spread out on 3 continents, and we have no money, we have no bureaucracy, but we have the ambition and the intention to make sure that when we combine our energies, we could make a contribution towards getting more people exposed to, or as we say, getting immersed into Fulldome media. So maybe we can have the next one. These are just a number, the next slide. These are just a number of statements to say, well, good, but how does anybody benefit from it, and how does that work? Since our mission is to promote quality in Fulldome production, quality is really important, not just sort of 360-degree screensavers, but really quality production. That is important. Connect the world through immersive experiences, which is what we're doing right now. So, I mean, virtually we are in a big dome, except everybody's in front of their own little screen, but we could imagine being together in a big dome and team together to amplify the effect that each individual festival can only have when they team up with the others. So this is an attempt to give recognition to Fulldome as a genre and to give outstanding Fulldome artists recognition and an award. Next, please. So this is not about festivals. It is about festivals because they are the driving force behind it, but it's also about artists and producers. And how would they benefit? Well, they get an additional chance to win an award without going through the pains of a separate application and submitting the material. So if you're an artist, this is really important, people all over the world, there is no direct submission from whoever you are, where you are, to an anonymous Best of Earth organization. The organizing factors, the agents, are the festivals. So if you submitted your work to Domefest West, Jena Fulldome, Fulldome UK, Sudfest, or Dome Under in Australia, that's all you have to do to be eligible for a curation process by which then will be nominated the shows that are going into the jury process. Yes, so, and of course, we are trying to make a little bit of a, let's call it glamour, for those, to honor those who win the award. A little more on this in a second. Maybe we can continue with the next slide. Wherever slides the slide. Well, yes, there it is already. How can the audience benefit? Well, since we are kind of getting the best crop from all over the world, from many festivals, the virtual result is a compilation of shows in the genre of Fulldome that really give a showcase of what's current, what's new, what's exciting in Fulldome production. Short and feature films, science and education, entertainment, art, experimental, visual music, even live productions, all what's happening inside this magnificent stage dome. We want to get the best and elevate this to global recognition. That's already the introduction to the next slide, which has the somewhat disappointing title of what are the shortcomings? Well, of course, there are shortcomings. First of all, the shortcomings are, strange enough, identical to the strength of this festival. As I mentioned, no bureaucracy, no formal chapter. We aren't organized or registered anywhere. We are just a bunch of people who share the passion for Fulldome and who got together and say, how can we help each other? And thereby get everybody's help to help one another. That's kind of a very simple and logical principle of collaborative, cooperative activities. The weak point is, since we are we are serious, but we are not a legal entity. And so it's difficult for us to come up with a Best of Earth reel that can be licensed to planetaria, to Fulldome Theatre all over the world, and also give artists the reward they deserve for being accepted in this. So that means we are an ongoing self-learning organization a non-organization, but we are happy to be here, and maybe we even have another slide coming up. And that is a great article in the Planetarium magazine. It's written by Ed Lance, who's associated with many Fulldome activities. Many of you know him. And so he was approached, can you summarize what Best of Earth was when it started 2 years ago in that's old century, in 2021, excuse me. And he wrote it, and it's a great article that again brought recognition to the Best of Earth Festival and to the collaborative effects of festivals teaming up together. Are we on the way to becoming a well-funded global player? Are we maybe the Academy of Immersive Motion Picture Arts and Sciences of the future? Who knows? I don't. There's real beauty in being so spontaneous, informal, but of course there is a trajectory, not tragedy, trajectory that leads to more success, more exposure, more people becoming aware of Fulldome. So what else do we have? Actually, we have a little video. No, we have another slide that just juxtaposes 2021, first show of the Best of Earth initiative, and now we are into 2023. And what's so great about this meeting today at iMERSA is that we are only a few days away from the award ceremony, which is happening by our good friends and partners, the Zeiss Großplanetarium in Berlin. This will be streamed live into the whole world. And this is the first moment that anybody, the producers, the festivals, the general audience, maybe you join this too, will learn who wins the Best of Earth Award in 2023. 32 shows have been nominated by the five festivals. Last time we had the festival concurrent, but that was a very weird, funny situation due to COVID pandemic. Now the festivals just happen whenever they are, but inside a calendar year or the last 2 calendar years, we collected, reviewed at the best shows and handed it over to the jury. Jury is important because we want to leave the decision who deserves the award to an independent panel of people who love Fulldome, who know what it means to produce good content, and they will make this decision. And they will make this decision soon, and what the decisions are, we will find out on May 2nd, live from Berlin, the glamorous award ceremony. We can have a look at a little video that kind of shows how that. Yeah, we can start that video right away. Just to give you a sense of, yeah, there should
Welcome
be.
to the
Welcome
live
to
stream for the Best of Earth Awards. We're coming to you live from the Zeiss Großplanetarium, part of the Stiftung Planetarium Berlin. We welcome you to the announcement for the winners of the 2021 Best of Earth Awards. I would like to introduce the 4 Fulldome festivals that are joining us all over the world this evening. They're coming to us from 3 different continents. And so I would like to first say hello to Dome Fest West in Los Angeles.
Hello from sunny California. This is Ryan Moore with Dome Fest West.
Hello, my name is Philip. I'm one of the co-founders of Fulldome UK, and I'd just like to say hello to Fulldome Festival.
My name is Kate. I'm with the Fulldome Festival Jena, and we are so happy and so excited.
From the Melbourne Planetarium here in Australia. I'm super excited to be joining these 3 other amazing festivals.
19 Fulldome films have been nominated across the 6 categories of the Best of Earth Awards. An international jury of experts have watched these 19 films, discussed them, and decided who deserves the awards. The Fulldome Award in the category Best Short Film goes to In the Land of Flabby Schnook by Francis Gilinas. The Fulldome Award in the category Best Science and Education Film goes to Living Worlds by Ryan Wyatt and Cheryl Vanderbilt. The Fulldome Award in the category Best Art and Experiment Film goes to Suprematism, The Day Before by Sergei Prokofiev. The Fulldome Award in the category Best Full Feature Film goes to Legend of the Enchanted Reef by Peter Popp. The Fulldome Award in the category Best Student Film goes to A Toothless Grin by Christine Jakubik. The Fulldome Award in the category Special Jury Selection goes to Ayahuasca by Agata Di Tommaso. Congratulations and thank you to all of the artists and the producers. All 19 nominated shows are extraordinary examples of what immersive media and Fulldome shows can offer.
Well, thanks so much, Mickey, for that overview. That was really
okay.
amazing.
And there's a last slide that announces that, here it is. So that's when you see who's winning the 2023 awards. There's a direct YouTube link. It should also appear in the chat. And thanks for watching. Thanks for listening. I'll be excited. Everybody should be excited what comes next. I think I'll turn it back to Michael and Michaela.
Awesome. Well, thank you so much, Mickey. It's an amazing effort that you guys are putting together to really honor the best work in the world from these other festivals. And I wanted to take a moment now to just give you a quick overview of the other festivals that are participating in Best of Earth, so you can kind of see how that all breaks down. Let me share my screen real quick. So the first festival, and these are all in alphabetical order, is DomeFest West. And each festival has a unique, essential vision. And DomeFest West's vision is to be the driving force behind the transformation of the Fulldome filmmaking industry. We will accomplish this by inspiring a new generation of storytellers, promoting and celebrating the art of immersive storytelling through Fulldome films, and fostering a global community of passionate and engaged Fulldome enthusiasts. Dome Under in Australia is a celebration of the Fulldome format and aims to promote the medium to a wider audience. Given the relatively small planetarium community of Australia, this is not an industry event. Instead, it's a very much a public-facing festival requiring a general audience buying tickets to make it viable. So you'll notice in these, I've highlighted some qualities or some phrases that actually are unique to each festival. We'll come back to that in a second. Fulldome UK. The unique vision and mission of Fulldome UK are to celebrate Fulldome as an artistic medium and showcase its diverse potential as an immersive experience. They believe that the immersive medium of Fulldome art has the power to transform the way we experience the world, and they're dedicated to helping artists and researchers realize the full potential. The Fulldome Festival in Jena. The festival, founded in 2007, provides an open platform to present and praise immersive media, electronic arts, science, business, and the exploration of fun and the future of Fulldome. And last but not least, the SatFest. Since its first edition in 2012, the SatFest has become a major event for immersive creation, offering ample room for experimentation and artistic creativity. With its eclectic selections of short films specifically designed for Dome, SatFest has fueled imagination of thousands of spectators and highlighted the universe and creative vision of more than 100 local and international visual and sound artists. So these festivals are all feeding into Best of Earth, and they provide that variety and flavor of all the content that's coming into the judging. And so what we like to do now is introduce our panel. We have folks representing Fulldome UK. We have Mickey from the Jena Festival. We also have folks from Fulldome Down Under that are going to be joining us virtually. And we have folks from DomeFest West and SatFest. So let's welcome our panel. and let's dive into our panel discussion. And as we're going along, if you have questions, please throw them in the chat and we'll answer those as we go or at the end during some Q&A. So Ben, let's go ahead and share the screen with everyone and let's bring in the panel. Welcome.
Should we just start can we kind of just run through the different festivals and everyone can just give a little hello? So we've got Phil and Yanni from Fulldome UK.
Hello, hello.
Hello. Murad from SatFest.
Hello, everyone.
Ryan, hello from Dome West.
Yes, hello from California, Dome Fest West. Thank you.
Fest West. Sorry, I lost it. I lost a fest in there. And and Mickey, obviously, we've seen you already, so we know who you are. And as Michael said, we've actually got a recording. Warwick's not able to be here because it's 3 a.m. in Australia, so he's pre-recorded his hello, and we'll come back to that shortly. Michael, do you want to start with first questions, or I can lead if you prefer?
Sure, no, that's fine. I wanted to highlight one thing that I mentioned when I was running through the different festivals really quickly. The words that I pulled out, which I think are really unique for each festival, I just want to highlight those now. With Dome Fest West, the phrase that I pulled from that is immersive storytelling, and that's really one of the heartbeats of Dome Fest West, is really enhancing what storytelling looks like in the full dome medium. Dome Under has a different focus, which is really about facing the public with the festival and really reaching out to the community and exposing Full Dome to a wider audience, which I think is really very fascinating. Fulldome UK, I pulled out artistic medium, diverse potential, the power to transform. So there's an artistic component to it. There's the diversity of the dome itself and its ability to transform people's thinking and their experience and that connection with the dome. Jena, Full Dome Festival, I pulled out immersive media, electronic art, science, business, exploration of fun. So it's more a focus of all the different elements that play into the dome and also the fun that is part of that experience. And last but not least, SatFest, experimentation, artistic creativity, imagination. And I think that's a beautiful balance of all of these things. It's not like each festival is just a repeat of the others, but there's individual characteristics that I think are really fascinating to bring to the table with the nominations for the Best of Earth. So with that, how are the different international perspectives of Full Dome different from each other? In other words, with the different festivals, if the panelists can just comment on what I just mentioned and some of the essential things about your individual festival and why you're part of Best of Earth. So Philip, you want to start?
Yeah, I mean, I would say that Fulldome UK, it was inspired by visiting the Immersive Cinema Symposium in 2007, which happened in Plymouth, and that was very much I'd say an industry event. But it was an epiphany for me because I saw a Full Dome plugin for After Effects, and I was like, well, I know After Effects, many creatives do. That means we can all make Full Dome. It was just a moment. This is not in an ivory tower anymore. And I think that's probably our common theme. We don't come from a traditional planetarium or astronomy or even science education background. We're almost the opposite. We were like, hang on, these planetariums are awesome, and the astronomers have them all to themselves. Wouldn't it be great if, thank you so much to astronomy for creating these spaces 100 years ago. Now it's time for other people to come and play in them, please. You know, so it's really been about that. It's about access to domes. It's about providing a platform to allow artists to use these amazing immersive spaces that almost went slightly undetected outside of a specific science education community for many years. Of course, it's the digitization of domes that was a transformation. Once you were no longer using an optomechanical specific star projector and you were using a digital video projector, well, those pixels can be anything you like. So yes, we're definitely not anti-science, we're not anti-astronomy by any means, but we come from a sort of, how can we enable visual artists to expand their practice into full dome immersive environments? Yeah.
No, that's great. And I want to throw a similar question to Morad because the SatFest really focuses on artistic creativity. So what is your passion about the Dome and your contribution to Best of Earth with the SatFest?
Yeah, and yeah, thank you for the introduction. I would say we do have a pretty specific overlap since we are a festival that is built upon being an art center, a center dedicated to creation for artists. So we do have the Dome all year long, which is a pretty specific point of view. And in a way, Dome films are only a component of what artists can do when they explore the Dome. So we for us the festival aspect and SatFest and why it's important to us to dedicate some time and some attention to this art form is also a way to allow the artists to not only to experiment with the various there are so many overlaps of artistic discipline that can translate into domes that we are very lucky to have this diversity through our artistic community. So this is a good way also to help artists try the medium in maybe a short format and have the opportunity to experiment. But we also have this context, which is pretty specific. We're having a dome dedicated to arts for now 11 years. The audience, the local audience as well, is getting pretty used to it, to the codes and to some specific names. So it's always like an interesting rendezvous for us. And for the community, it's really about bringing collective immersion to creating a space for collective immersion where artists and the audience can meet. So that's pretty much our perspective on this.
I love that. So Ryan, tell us a little bit about how DomeFest West fits into all of this.
Yeah, I think DomeFest West we're the youngest child out of all of the festivals. So we like a lot of attention, but we're not very productive quite yet. We're getting there. We're still figuring our shiz out, but like we definitely love storytelling here in Los Angeles, the heart of Hollywood. And we're really focused on that. Planetariums have been doing great jobs for years, back with old laser pointers and little point dots on a screen. And we've just evolved from there. The techniques have evolved and we're really championing those. So really storytelling is our focus and our bread and butter. We'll probably focus more on music as well and live experiences as that space really heats up. Live experiences, as Mickey has been pushing for years, and I know a lot of the similar film festival leaders have been pushing this content and encouraging this content, but it is going to blow up. It really is. We got U2 opening up in less than 8 months. So cool stuff. Yeah, no, DomeFest West, we're sliding in. We're young, but we're figuring it out. So please come hang out with us next April.
Love that. And then Mickey, tell us a little bit about Yena's focus.
Yeah, Ryan's festival is young. We are old. We started in 2007 and it's been running annually ever since. And if you don't know, please be aware, we are just preparing to open the 17th Jena Fulldome Festival on May 10th, and it will go through to May 14th, and it will have a very ambitious range of Fulldome films of different genres, of discussions in what we call the Frameless Forum. And we have nightly, really wild performances, live acts. I think we are the first to coin the term immersive music theater, with live musicians, live actors, choreography, interactive light design, and of course, with the background of the 360-degree stage design. So these are art forms that we encourage, but we are a full spectrum festival. That means astronomy, experimentation, everything is welcome. We have a limited amount of time for screening. That means not everybody who applies, we can't show all the shows that have submitted, but we're trying to get really a good selection. And from that great selection, we then delegate a super valuable selection off into the Best of Earth process.
That's great. I love that.
I really
So
like
Ron-
that each of the festivals is like that collectively there is a kind of shared vision, I guess, but each festival has its own identity as well. And that mix is really makes it exciting, I guess, that especially for those of us in the community, that we can attend the different festivals and you're seeing different kinds of work, and you know, each one has its own kind of I don't know, feel and quality to it. One of the questions that I'm sort of interested in is just, obviously it's only been one round so far, so interesting to see if there is actually an answer to this, but the idea of, you know, that collective endeavour between the festivals in the Best of Earth, and whether individually you think there's been an experience participating in Best of Earth that's actually influenced the way you're thinking about your individual festival. So I guess the question is, how has being part of Best of Earth changed or impacted the individual festivals? Anyone can lead. Go for it.
Well, I mean, I would say that Best of Earth was born from a time of adversity. Let us not forget. It feels almost too easy to forget that we were in the middle of COVID when we planned Fulldome UK 2021. It was sort of in the spring of that year. We had no idea what the world would be like 6 months from then. We didn't know if the whole of the UK would go back into lockdown. We didn't know if we might not be in lockdown, but there's no public events, or there might be no international travel. So it was partly a response to that, which was, how about we preempt this and we put all of our festivals together on the same date, on the same weekend. So it was a, you know, it was a lovely response to this adversity that we just almost instinctively came together, and we said, we'll put our events on the same weekends. There's two reasons for this. One, if there's no international travel, well, you can at least visit, hopefully, your local festival. If you can't get on a plane, you may be able to travel more within your country. The other one was, there's a very real prospect that one or more of these festivals will not be able to take place because of a local restriction. And actually, that's actually exactly what happened with Dome Under. It had to be postponed that year. So really, it was about creating some resilience in our community that, you know, the show must go on, shall we say. The spin-off from that was fantastic. We already all knew each other because this is quite a, you know, close-knit community. But the planning required to synchronize our festivals and also, you know, build this sort of, I almost think of it as a sort of a superset, a meta awards that came out of the individual festivals, was we had regular meetings together. And that was one of the best bits of it, that all of these Fulldome festival organizers now routinely are not in our little silos, but we bounce off each other, still with our individual identities, but, you know, we all inform each other. And that's been a lovely thing that's come out of it, I would say.
Brilliant, thanks, Phil. That's great. Does anyone else have a kind of expanded perspective or different perspective than the one Phil's just described for us?
I would say for Domefest West, it really gave us right from the very beginning a level of gravitas that we all understood. And even when it came to just selecting our nominations this year as well, asking ourselves if we are really recognizing the best content, if our process of review of going through the jury selection process, is it actually having the cream rise to the top? And it's made us do a lot of internal restructuring of our own jury process. And it will happen as well here. This is our second Best of Earth. We've learned a lot of things working with the amazing jury members that are on this year's jury panel. But I think we're gonna keep trying to improve, trying to actually find the best content. And the word best is a little grandiose. We should probably use the word excellence. We are trying to find excellence. And because best is subjective, but excellence, we can all come together and say that this is something worth seeing and sharing. And let's prop up the creators that have done that. It gave us, especially starting our very first year, and no shade to Best of Earth, but Domefest West had those dates set first, Phil, and I want to say that the rest of the festivals all jumped on board. Not being salty or anything, but it was cool to suddenly be a part of something global, and it really weighed on us and made us understand the importance. And that was definitely the perspective from Dome Fest West.
Brilliant, Ryan. Thank you. I sort of love that, you've introduced yourself as the new kid on the block. And I think, part of that is learning from what the established kind of festivals and how they've achieved what they've achieved over the years, but also that there's opportunities, as with Best of Earth, to kind of take new approaches and kind of expand the way that we're working as a community. So it's really nice to hear that perspective. Michael, do you, or Murad, just wondering if you've got, or Yanni, anything to add to that?
Yeah, I would say maybe since being the new kid on the block, since we were not there during those times specifically, it's going to be our first year joining the effort, and yeah, I think everything is to look forward to from now on. From this, I think it's Best of Earth in itself signifies like some kind of acknowledgement and something that I think is there to last in a way. That's what we hope.
Brilliant. Well, great to have Zapfest on board as well. So in some ways it wouldn't be right if you weren't here. So yeah, thanks everyone.
Well, I think there's also something really interesting that's underlying this conversation, and Ryan alluded to this. The planetarium spaces have always originated with astronomical content, and that was sort of the pedigree and the history. But movements like this over the years have helped bring to the front other types of content that can be presented in that space. Because I've always believed, and I think all of our panelists believe, that the Dome is a ubiquitous space. You can present anything in there. It doesn't have to just be astronomy. It can be anything that immerses an audience, and it really has an incredible effect in bringing you inside an environment. It's very different from traditional film where you're looking through a window at something. You're actually inside the experience, which is very unique. And those topics that surround that can be anything. And to have an opportunity to present some of the most exemplary work that's being done, regardless of the genre, it can be astronomy, it can be dance, it can be comedy, it can be whatever it is. Those things can all be brought to the forefront in this platform and awarded as well, so that they get the recognition that they deserve, and even more so that the audience has an opportunity to see what's possible in these spaces. Because I really believe that these immersive spaces are what is going to drive audiences to leave their homes and experience something really unique and really powerful. And that makes me excited about what we're talking about today and what these festivals represent. Mickey.
Yeah, I'd like to add, because there's some great questions coming in. First of all, when we did Best of Earth 2021, we did it in our restricted local planetarium scenes, but we also did it as a 360-degree streaming event. And that was something that was really very, very avant-garde, to be able to stream 360-degree content through the headsets. Not everybody likes them, and nobody thinks they are equal to the Dome. But if there are restrictions like COVID, that was the best possible way to get audiences all over the world simultaneously the opportunity to view these films. So that's a competence that we now have. It's a talent. We may revive it whenever, and it's not gone. And the other one is, what are the ways I mean, is there the Fulldome reel? Does it travel? Not yet, but we're working on it. And another point, this is not an elite club. We just found each other through recognition and friendship. But we don't want to say we are the elite, we are the best, we are the most excellent ones. No, we just sort of take this preposterous claim to say we moderate the best content into award-worthy status. And maybe next time there are other festivals who join the collaboration. We need to be very careful because we have no resources, and the best we can do is keep this amicable, friendly space that we want to maintain. but we are not kind of a closed shop.
That's great. I think now would be a good time just to bring Warwick into the conversation. Let's play his video and get a flavor of Dome Under. So Ben, roll it, please.
Hi everyone, this is Warwick Lawrence. I'm the founder and director of the Dome Under Film Festival. I'd like to thank iMERSA for hosting today and for providing the international cooperation of Fulldome festivals the opportunity to inform you more about the Best of Earth Awards. The Best of Earth Awards really are a fabulous way in which the Fulldome community can come together and celebrate this unique medium. The Dome Under Festival started back in 2020, and this year in February, we hosted the 3rd edition of the festival. It really has gone from strength to strength. It's not an industry event as such, it's actually much more of a public-facing festival, and we invite the general public to come in and celebrate and learn more about the Fulldome medium. This year we had over 80% attendance, so it was a great success. I'd like to thank all the people who attended our festival, as well as the filmmakers and producers who kindly allowed us to screen their films, and our generous sponsors who helped make the festival such a great success. The good news is we will be back in 2024, and so I invite all of you to come to the festival next year. I'd love to see you all here in Australia. Thank you to Dan and Michael for giving me the opportunity to address you this morning, and I hope you enjoy the rest of today. Thank you.
I'm sure you've got some questions that are brimming up right now.
Well, I actually, one of the things that I'm sort of interested in, and to be honest, I sort of know the answer a little bit, because I should just say I actually had the honour of being on the judging panel for the 2021 Best of Earth event, which I have to say was, yeah, it was a fantastic discussion with the judges. But I'm sort of interested to hear from the festivals about their process of selection. So obviously you get the submissions from the open call that you put out, each festival individually. Is there a kind of an agreed process for how the selection to Best of Earth happens? Is it the same across all the festivals, or is it within each of the festivals that decision is made to kind of get, is it 32 films I think are kind of nominated this year? So Yanni, can you just kind of talk us through whether that's a collective thing or whether it happens within, is it different for Fulldome UK, say, than the other festivals?
I believe maybe Phil is going to be better to answer this question.
Phil, maybe you can answer.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, Fulldome UK, for example, probably in common with all festivals, we are fortunate to receive a lot more submissions than we have time to play. So, for example, at Fulldome UK last year in 2022, we had over 100 film submissions and many live performance submissions also, and we were able to screen 35 of those. So there is I guess a steering group who does that sort of first pass of sort of taking the very long list and shortlisting it. But I think perhaps in common with some other festivals here, we do have our own awards. They're quite low key, and we have an independent judging panel for those. So although we effectively curate the screening program, anyone who's involved in the initial curation for the festival is not very explicitly not involved in the judging for any awards. And I guess one could see Best of Earth as a sort of like a second filter, a second pass of the same process, where the festival organizing committees may nominate films, but then again, there's a totally independent jury who are actually judging and awarding the films of Best of Earth. So, you know, the nominations from Fulldome UK to Best of Earth, all of them had to have been screened at Fulldome UK and included all of the award-winning films as well. So I guess if you manage to win an award at Best of Earth, you've kind of, you know, it's like you've been through several leagues almost. You know, you're in that way you could be considered the best of the best in terms of you've passed 2 different independent juries to get there.
Brilliant, thanks, Phil. Ryan, is it a similar approach in Domefest West, that kind of transition of films to the to the Best of Earth nominations?
Yeah, we really rely a lot on our existing independent jury for our festival last year. As you'll see on the Best of Earth website, you have to screen at these festivals to be then even qualified to be nominated. So we start there, and then really we relied on our judges' previous decisions on what was best for the festival, and had to string some conflict of interest films out. But in general, we do try to keep very independent and not really take very large editorial control. It's about setting up the systems that allow the best films to rise by themselves through the process, and then handing it over to yourself years ago, or to the amazing 5 individuals on the panel this year, to let them decide. They are the experts, and we really just want to let them do what they do best.
Brilliant, thank you. And Mickey, did you have something that you'd like to add to that?
Yes, fortunately, just got a chat from Joshua Miller about, will there be the category of live performance in Best of Earth? And this is a funny project, because when we got together in our regular, very funny Zoom meetings, it was usually around midnight for me and 7 a.m. for Warwick, and so across time zones, we agreed live performances in the Dome is a genre whose time has come, and it should be acknowledged, and it should also be just recognized as something worthwhile to do, and to encourage artists to do this. The thing is, this is almost impossible to present to any jury. If you have a produced film, you can see that in a standard Dome or in the headset. But to give the gist of what it means to go out on the stage with performers, dancers, musicians, this is no way that you can really give a fair assessment of that work. So we decided in a very Solomonic way. We said each festival is to nominate 2 live performances that have been performed in their festival, and which they think deserve a kind of a recognition of excellence, something like an honorary mention or something. And so when we have the big award ceremony soon in Berlin, May 2nd, these nominated live shows from 5 festivals will also be mentioned. Not with the title, okay, you are the best, which means the others were not as good as you, but just saying, you were so great. We want to acknowledge you. We want to praise you. We want to encourage others to do likewise. We want to open the planetarium to live performances of the wildest kind.
I'd just like to pick up on that, actually, Mickey, because I know, Yana, you were partly responsible for a live performance that personally I found quite extraordinary at Fulldome UK last year. Can you just tell us a little bit about the process of staging that in the festival, and I guess just in response to this idea of how it might enter the, how it might be kind of integrated into Best of Earth as well?
I think it's been pretty exciting that we can develop a performance in our space, Calvia in Wales, and tour it to Fulldome UK, Plymouth, Market Hold'em. But still, I understand what Mike is saying. It's really hard to give that experience in another country and be part of another festival, because the economy of touring a live production still is not being solved by everybody. And wouldn't be amazing if we will have the budget to be able to present the selected live performances in one space and do this Best of Earth Awards in the future. But I guess we need a massive sponsor, right, to help us all to put all the logistics together. So it's not impossible, but I think we are not there yet. Logistic-wise, we are used to touring, so we know the space, we know the software, so it's not that complicated to do, really.
Can you just talk a little bit about, for you, what was the difference between kind of a pre-recorded experience, someone telling a story through the video, or bringing that live component in? What was the response to that piece that you did present, that was presented at Fulldome UK?
Well, I think we specialize in live performance, so we get that experience quite often. And Society of Arts and Technology, Market Hall, Calvia, they might be the only 3 places currently that don't have any seats restriction, and they can give access to artists to tour and present their work. So in that sense, it's easy for us to share the work, and we have live audiences coming regularly to experience live performance. So I will encourage the community to try to find a solution for live performance to be even more recognized in the future. But I totally understand the logistics, and organizing Fulldome UK Festival is not easy to bring the artists sometimes when they are not even from the UK to present their work. So I guess it's work in progress.
I have to say, it was a great opportunity to be there in the time that it did present. So well done for bringing it.
And also with SatFest, there's a lot of live performance involved in that. And when we were at iMERSA Montreal last year, there were some incredible moments of live performance. So Murad, please tell us about your vision for that as well.
Well, then again, we have 2 hats over this, and the festival is one of them, and we really want to dedicate this to the fixed media form. But the festival is an opportunity to actually present a bit of the ropes. So it's and we do performances the rest of the year. So in a way, we do think that performances belong in the dome, which is why we do it. And for the other reasons that have been stated before, it's there's so much involved in production and everything that this should not be the focus. I think from our perspective, we want to try to find this balance between raising some degree of recognition for the work that is being done from that performance perspective. And I would just say what Mickey said in the chat, the mission to bring momentum to the Fulldome medium. It's a simple sentence, but it's a lot of work that everyone is working towards. From our perspective, the little things work, and whenever we see a project that does something that has not been done before, present things in a different way, performance is only a part of that. And yeah, we try to support this, try to imagine new ways to support this that maybe challenge a bit like the award-winning process that we do have ourselves in the festival as well. So it's more about imagining ways to acknowledge that.
And also, I'd imagine that the audience response is really strong to these live performances as well.
They are part of the performance. That's the beauty of collective immersion in a way, rather than having like this, here's the stage, here we are. But as Jania said, not all the places have this configuration, but there has to be this sense of being part of something. Yes, and the audience is really responsive to that.
And Phil, you've got your hand up.
Yes, I mean, I just wanted to say, absolutely, agreeing with what everyone else is saying. Fulldome UK has featured live performances since its first event in 2010. It's a massive and fascinating part of the Fulldome experience. Of course, it's technically more challenging and financially more challenging to host live events. If someone is submitting a film to a festival, they can send that digitally. A live event requires people and transport and equipment. There's also the actual staging of it, like bringing equipment on and doing a changeover like you'd have at any other music festival. So we love it, we support it. It's certainly challenging. I think getting Fulldome films into new venues, into planetariums has challenges, and I think getting live performance into planetariums has even greater challenges. As Yanni mentioned, what's fascinating is that we are beginning to see the emergence of purpose-built performance art dome venues, where we're not trying to necessarily shoehorn into a planetarium, but the venues themselves are built for that. And I think that's a fascinating development. Certainly, I think we can all acknowledge SAT were first with this as a performing arts dome, and I hope many more of those will emerge. And I think the second thing I'd say is, yes, the challenge of having a best live performance event award is difficult because each festival generally has less live performances per event, right? You might have 1 or 2 per day or something. So it's a bit hard to say you won and you didn't. There isn't maybe a big enough pool at one festival to really award it. And also because so often the performances are so unique and diverse, it's kind of a bit impossible to compare and say which one was better. The third challenge perhaps is documentation. You know, if we want judges to view this and they weren't physically present at the performance, we just need to think about how do we best record that, so someone who wasn't at the event can get the best possible representation of that live performance.
I get the impression Ryan has a response to that, but Mickey had his hand up first. So Ryan, can you hold that thought for a minute? Mickey, do you want to jump in on that?
Well, Phil, definitely, you're right. It's challenging to have these live performances. I would even say logistically, it's a nightmare because there's a limited enough time to rehearse, to stage, but it's so much fun that it is an irreversible thrust towards more live shows in the Dome. And I think when we continue that line into the future, I would say the Planetarium of the future is like an opera house. It has to have the finesse and the quality and logistics and the technology and all the equipment and all the gear and costumes and dances and everything to really live up to this promise. And it's fun to be there at a very established nascent in its really little embryonic phase. We love to have these nightmares because on May 10th, we have a 7-episode TV series with live performance and extraterrestrials and musicians and everything. We are exhausted afterwards, but we can't stop doing it.
Brian, just coming back to you and Murad, I think you had your hand up briefly, but the vision of the Opera House, Mickey, I think you've kind of you've set that in place here. We're all on board with you for that one. Ryan.
The Opera House, I mean, it's a great analogy. If anything, the biggest investment in the entire space in the world has currently been made in that direction holistically with what's happening in Las Vegas and most likely coming to Stratford too here in the next couple of years. COSM, the money they are putting in and activating through their already existing ENS, incredible network. The Digistar network is fantastic. They can bring live events to these domes very soon, and they will. If anything, we should start planning right now for the hype cycle that will be live events in dome theaters, because it will happen and it will be a big thing everyone talks about. It's the AI that everyone's talking about right now, but like in 12 months or maybe a year when these venues open up. COSM just announced through their Digistar network, they're going to be able to start offering access to UFC events. I see that being pretty darn popular. I see that bringing some new people into planetariums. Also, we should touch on getting planetariums involved, especially ones that have really strict mission and vision requirements that we can hit. But the live performance, it's where the attention's going to be. It's where the investment is now, and it's where the promotion. We're talking hundreds of millions of dollars of promotion that does not exist right now. I don't know what planetarium is spending more than maybe $20,000 to $30,000 in Facebook promotion, and you're going to have 20 million dumped by Madison Square Garden by itself within the next 12 months. This is what is coming. We need to plan for it. It's exciting, but it's a lot of challenging things ahead, like all of you had noted before.
Murad, did you have something to add?
Yeah, but it's kind of a loop back, but basically that some thoughts that came listening to all of you, but basically the performance aspect of a festival is also a way to bring the artists and the humans who actually are behind creation to the audience. And obviously you can do that with film as well. So whereas I would say Best of Earth is kind of an effort that is somehow desynchronized from the reality of the festivals themselves, in a way there is also a celebration of that culture that brings, like, for a specific moment of time, It can be 2 days, a week, or anything. The possibility not only to have access to the content, but also to have access to the artists and the persons that are actually involved in this. And that's like a very important aspect for us.
And I think that's the important thing to remember in this whole thing is that the awards are great, but the most important thing is visibility to an audience and getting more people to see this work and to experience what is possible in this space to build that kind of excitement that will contribute towards budgets ultimately in the future and the kind of promotion that Ryan was talking about, so that more people will be able to consume this content in a way that isn't really super possible now, because there's a lot of this artistic stuff, quite honestly, that I've only ever seen in festivals. I've almost never seen it played in a local planetarium or dome theater. So I'm hoping that through this process, that visibility will create an audience demand that they'll even go to these theaters and say, hey, why can't I see this one thing? Or can you do these types of events at this space, and let a grassroots movement build up to help transform things?
Bill, you've raised your hand.
Yes, and I just wanted to add to that. That was actually the impetus for starting Fulldome UK, was actually Fulldome artists saying, where is our platform? If I create a film, where can it be seen? And really the festival was a response to that, but it's just a small part. We need to be thinking about how can people be seeing things every week of the year in planetariums all over the world, not one weekend of the year in one location. And just with someone who's made a linear film, someone who's made an interactive piece based on a game engine, or someone who's doing a live performance, you know, these are just even more challenging things to tour, because we need specifications in domes that support live performance or support real-time generative game engines or other real-time graphic systems. And that's another thing, you know, that's what we've tried to do, baby steps, working in partnership with 4Pi, is really, can we tour? You know, that's the goal, isn't it? Can you have a career as a full-time live performing artist? Are there enough venues around the world, enough audience members to make it sustainable? And we're not talking about getting rich here, but just getting something back for all the time and effort you've put into producing that work of art. That's something we all are passionate about trying to push forward.
Absolutely.
I'm just thinking, I sort of want to go in two directions here. One, to kind of pick up on that idea of, you know, the Best of Earth as kind of maybe a hub for that collective vision and kind of moving forward. But I'm also aware that we actually have a recording from one of the judges from 2021, Alicia Sometimes from Australia. And I think I'm going to jump off on your comments about passion for the medium and kind of driving it forward, because I think in what Alicia has to share with us, it's really clear that she's on mission for expanding Fulldome. So Michael, do you think this is a fine time to bring Alicia in, and then we'll come back to that idea about kind of future vision for the next kind of bit of the discussion?
Perfect transition. Let's do it.
Thanks.
Happy iMERSA Day. It is 4 a.m. here in Melbourne, Australia, and by virtue of time travel, I'm coming to you via video while I'm sleeping. My name's Alicia Sometimes, and I'm so excited to get to chat to you, even via pre-recorded means, but I'm so happy to even talk to the planetarium and the dome community, because I just love you all so much and wish I was there. In 2021, I was lucky enough to be asked to be one of the judges for the Best of Earth. And it was such an honor to be around this community, this hub of beautiful filmmakers and connoisseurs of the planetarium. One of the things I loved so much about Best of Earth is that, you know, here in Melbourne, Australia, especially at that time in lockdown here at, you know, in 2021, just to have an array of incredible work just to look at home. And even though I didn't have the incredible dome above me in my home, the software that was provided, I could imagine laying back and being immersed in the dome. From a very young age, I've been going to different planetaria and just absolutely loving the work. And I've always loved the science and the astronomy, of course. But as time has gone on, just to see those beautiful artistic moments. And I remember in 2021, an incredible standout work, A Toothless Grin. You know, I think it was a student work, an audiovisual poetic moment that just came together in, you know, narrative storytelling, of course, but just that evocative sense of displacement as well. And that's the incredible thing about the dome. As you know, you are all such lovers of the planetaria and experts, but just to have that, you know, completely being surrounded by not only the visuals but the sound, and cocooned and in a new environment, and just that sort of liminal experience as well, those moments in between things was just so incredible. And then to be able to have, you know, a snippet from Berlin, something from South Africa, something, you know, South America, it's just, you know, the US, it's just amazing that all these little communities creating beautiful work. Being on the Best of Earth judging panel was wonderful. There was so many of us with our different time zones talking together and really reflecting on what was, you know, sometimes emotional, sometimes very visceral. It was such a great experience to talk about things that were quite meaningful and fresh. And I mean, it's no surprise to say that we love surprises. I think surprises in a planetarium work, in a dome work, is really, really important. We always talk about sort of using that, the front of the dome as well, but it is about sometimes what's behind, what's surrounding us, and how to use those moments of little snippets where different sounds coming through and taking you on that journey with movement, with color, with quietness as well. So it is those moments of darker contemplation and surprise is just, for me, and I'm sure many of you, just such an important thing, just to have those moments of surprise. So I'm always looking not just for that great animation just for me is such an exciting world, but also, of course, the use of cameras, knowing that sometimes things have been made for VR, they don't always work in the dome, but when they do, they really, really do. And I think it's because they've captured that sort of huggable moment of being completely transformed when you are in a space. I can't state enough how important it is just to have that international community come together and speak. It's such a beautiful community. And I met so many gorgeous people as well, and I wish I was meeting you all. But just to have that community and understanding as well. And it is different from other filmmaking, as you know. It's great to see over the years too how some things come in and out of fashion. But I think what doesn't go out of fashion is just absolutely stunning storytelling, or if it's in the abstract, and I love abstract as well, that it is just something quite fresh and unique, a different set of eyes that we're not seeing. As a poet, I am completely listening for the sound of things, and sometimes it's about the music, sometimes it's about the voice. Yeah, it's just being taken away, and Best of Earth took me away. So that's all I can say about that. Hope you have a great rest of the panels, the talking, and just the beautiful intellectual coming together for iMERSA. So thank you so much.
I love Alicia's passion. That's just so great. And that's really what this community is all about. And what I'd like to do at this point is we've got some great questions that have been coming in from all of the audience members today, and we want to address a few of those before we run out of time. So one of the first ones I want to hit, and Ryan commented on this as well, the question was, how can this community expand to include more planetariums that are more traditional and get them on board for hosting more events that are arts centered? What do you guys think about that? I think that's really the key. to moving things forward even further?
I think that first up, we need to hear from the planetariums around the world that have, people working at those planetariums interested in maybe screening alternative content. I know sometimes there are financial or even structural barriers to that if a planetarium has a specific remit or a specific funding model. But yes, we'd love to hear from them collectively. And then I think we've often talked that what we should be doing is packaging some of these films that are exhibited to festivals, getting the rights from the artists, licensing them, making sure the artists are properly recognized and hopefully rewarded. And maybe we send those out as a sort of easy dip your toe in. You don't need to try and run a festival at your planetarium, but you could run a screening night. And if the films are curated into themed groups, you might find there's a ready-made reel that works for you. I think that's always been on the cards. Some of the issues around it is that because all of the festivals here are basically run on a voluntary basis, we would have to be at arm's length from being a money-making organization because there's a potential conflict of interest there. But I do feel that packaging curated reels for planetariums to just dip their toe in and have a screening night might be a good first step. Hosting a festival at a planetarium is a lot of work. Perhaps running a film night could be a good start.
I think that conversation is happening in quite a lot of different kind of sectors, and there's certainly we know of a couple of distribution companies who are primarily working with VR, but have kind of in the last 3 years started researching and looking at how they would begin to tap into both live and pre-recorded programmed packages, as you're talking about, Phil. And I do think that as a community, it is partly about kind of connecting with planetariums where individual people within those more science-based organizations have an openness to that. But I do think as a community, it's also really important that we start to kind of make it easy for those organizations to access the content. And I think if you're a science museum and you're thinking about doing a Friday night public show with more cultural content, there's currently nowhere really to go to find that content unless you start trawling through individual films on the Fulldome database. So I think, that is definitely a conversation that a number of us have started. And I think collectively we need to really look at how do we move that forward. For me, that actually making that possible and actually making that happen would really kind of shift that territory. So Ryan, happy to hand up, go for it.
Yeah, no, you're exactly right that this is it's a low rumble at this point, how many conversations are happening around this topic. But I know that from DomeFest West perspective, one of our main goals this year is to listen more and contact and reach out to these different planetariums. There was a really great conversation that kind of happened, a vulnerable conversation that happened in iMERSA Montreal that Dan Nefus was leading, that just asked, what is the future? Where do we go from here? And there was an amazing point by Sebastian that essentially pointed out that planetariums, they need to be protected. We want to bring new content in and we want to bring artistry in, but we need to protect the incredible mission and goals and successes the planetariums have been achieving for years, and the high standard for the experiences that these places have given audiences again and again and again, that give inspiration, that drive kids to follow their entire dreams of having careers in space or careers as planetarium people. We do need to protect that, but there are opportunities. Planetariums around the world are very hungry for this type of content. Yes, the point was made very correctly that it's tough to find this if you do want to show shorts. I know that there are a few distributors. Loch Ness has done a lot of work. Shout out to Carolyn and Mark for having an on-demand kind of screening platform. I think there are major opportunities for planetarium vendors that have kind of vertical models, not shouting out any names, but to provide these avenues of independent releasing of content that make it very easy, yes, to just show it and maybe provide recognition that allows for further opportunities if a revenue share or some sort of financial benefit isn't directly able to give it back to the artists themselves. It really takes us aligning with these planetariums, and that is something that Best of Earth has an extreme interest in. Extreme. Mickey runs a lot of this festival's energy and goal from out of an institutional educational planetarium venue and facility. So this really is rooted in that, but we are needing to do a better job, and we recognize that. We will be talking to you planetarium directors more. If you feel like we're leaving you out, please reach out to us. We are working on this. It is something that we are going to be engaging with you more.
I think Mickey's just, sorry, Dan's just asked the question as well, like the cost involved, obviously, because, and we've talked about this before, because not all licensing models are the same. And, you know, if it's a live performance versus a kind of a pre-recorded production, you know, there's lots and lots of different ways that we need to work collectively to kind of set guidelines or structures in place. But I think there are also, following on from what you've just said, Ryan, there are also examples of science-based planetariums doing, you know, amazing work combining both agendas. So Boston comes to mind, and also the Artist Planetarium in Amsterdam is doing some amazing kind of cultural content, but very much still kind of anchored in their science remit. So if there's people with planetariums, there actually are these precedents. And I think one thing that we've talked about lots in the Fulldome Creative Network is actually starting to collect data on that to show that it is financially viable, and that there is a kind of actual kind of, you know, numbers, audience numbers and people on seats, and, you know, there is actually value in it. So I think kind of providing that evidence is also potentially supporting science museums to kind of show to their management teams that it actually is a possible, you know, a productive and useful thing, because very often the individuals running the planetariums will be up for it, but the management system more broadly in the museums are like, we don't, you know, understand how that actually ticks our boxes or meets the kind of broader remit. So I think, you know, again, collectively kind of looking at how do we start to communicate that and provide that, the research and foundation for that. Mickey.
Yes, well, in this paradoxical situation that we coming out of the oldest running planetarium in the world, Jena, which is also probably one of the most open ones for new innovative stuff. And so I'm really following the activity towards the centennial of the planetarium. I just put it in the web link in the chat. It's really the fact that the 4,000 planetariums in the world, I mean, get this, 4,000 planetariums in the world, the operators are really questioning how good are we with what we've done for the last 100 years, and is that in support of what's going on for the next 100 years. And so there's, I noticed quite a bit of openness in the so-called traditional planetarium scene to embrace new stuff like Fulldome. And I think, well, the motto of this centennial of the planetarium is the stars were just the beginning, which means there is more than stars to the planetarium. And of course, I think people like you, people like Best of Earth, people like other festivals who share that mission, I think they all contribute to this initiative of bringing stuff beyond astronomy into the dome, not create a revolution to close the planetariums and only have kind of whatever, but to kind of support, to navigate this gentle evolution from stars to the arts, to Live Dome, to Opera House.
Yeah,
but I think one of the challenges is making sure that people can be open to something that's unfamiliar to them, especially with mission-based planetariums, because there's a risk in doing something different. The audience may not show up. They may not have the skills to promote different types of events because they're used to doing things a certain way. And maybe there's a way this community can help make that easier in other materials that'll support that from a marketing standpoint, or just in other conversations, in hand-holding people through this, because I do believe the audience responds to it very well, but getting that audience matched up with the content that can exist in these institutions is kind of the challenge. But I think the better content that's coming to the surface and it's being highlighted by these festivals will help raise that visibility, because the audience will respond to it very positively. And if there's a good response, it's kind of a circle. It's got to feed itself. And we've got to figure out how to best get that started in a lot of these places.
Can I ask a question? Is that okay? No one can say no, so I'm going for it. Actually, Murad, this is coming back to you, because I know that traditionally SatFest did tour work, didn't it? After each kind of annual festival, there was a selection of works that went on tour. So obviously you have kind of trialed this idea of the package that you then send out. Can you just kind of talk to us a little bit about what were the successes and challenges with that, perhaps, or just throwing you in there.
But how to do a short version of this, because
Oh, sorry.
so many ways to now there are so many ways to but I think something constructive we've learned from this is and that can really tie into the mission of what we're doing here, is to normalize. I think we've had the opportunity to see artists who have seen the transition and who are still trying to cope with both brains, like trying to have planetarium and artistic content, and at the same time we have artists who have always known that and who really think it's normal. And not only artists, I think a lot of immersion professionals, planetariums are actually open. So there is not the doors open. There is not anymore a door to lock. The only problem that we have in practice is there are only 52 weeks a year, and there are only so many that you can dedicate to having time to experiment, having time to do setup, to let artists experiment with the space. I mean, we have this all year long and we have still limitations. So this basically comes to accepting that within limited time frames and opportunities and a distributed network of like-minded organizations and people, I think it's going to just follow its way. But to come back to your question, the shortcoming is always time. Yeah.
And I think budget, if we had really generous sponsors to kind of drop 20 million on our marketing, we'd probably have a different story. So if anyone's got any leads on that, please drop it in the chat.
It's coming. It's coming. We have to be patient and we need to be realistic that most of these planetariums were built from grants or public funding that doesn't really need a return. So it does require public companies that need a return and that have to lay hard on the marketing, and that is coming. So it just give it some more time, but you're 100% right. There are things we can do to get ready for that.
Well, guys, we're getting close to the end of our time. I think we're actually past it, but that's great. This has been a wonderful conversation. I just want to open it up for last comments from the panelists. Anything that you guys want to close out with? Start with you, Yanni. Put you on the spot.
Okay. Well, just to say thank you to everybody to be here. I think it's clear that all the festivals have an intention to work together and continue exploring ways of not only supporting artists and the community, but bringing this live performance element and expanding everything that we do and the learnings of Fulldome UK with the other festivals. And I think that's why this community is so beautiful, because we really share everything that we learn and we learn from each other. And I think that's quite unique in well, for us, most of us is our way of living that is so sharing and so giving as a community. So thank you, everybody from Fulldome UK.
Awesome. Who's next?
Mickey's got his hand up, so I'm volunteering him.
I agree.
Well,
That was from last time. But anyway, what I wanted to say is, don't wait for planetariums to open their doors for you. Actively go there, knock the door, talk to the management. If the management is old, wait till it's changed by some interesting people, and just communicate and tell them. They may not even know what we are privileged to know and experience in this community here. So yes, and keep the interactive opera house in your mind. That'll be the one that I want to live to experience.
There was going to
Thank
be a
you.
question. Sorry, Mickey, there was going to be a question on Michael and I's list about what's the vision for the future, but I think you've already ticked that box with the Opera House. So we'll just run with that for the next 12 months and see if we need to revise later. Murad, any final comments or thoughts from you?
I wouldn't call them final. I would say that Best of Earth is happening, and we're really happy that this happens. I think to all of you and everyone in the chat, hopefully see you around in a more concrete manner in a festival or another. I think that's what I have to say about the future.
Excellent, thank you. Ryan.
Yeah, good job, everyone. Everyone here that is working in the space, that has interest in the space, good job for being here, for showing up today. There's a lot of synergy. We are feeling the same thing you are. It's hope, it's inspiration, it's excitement, it's a little bit insanity. But there are things in motion that are so big. You can look right now at them testing. There's tons of Instagram posts, but just look at them testing the Madison Square Garden Sphere screen. It is incredible. There are major things coming. Be inspired, be ready to run for the long haul. That's all the notes that I have. Thank you to all of the rest of the amazing Best of Earth committee members. I think we might change our name to the International Cooperation of Fulldome Film Festivals, lovingly referred to as ICOF. But we'll figure that out later. This is something that Warwick came up with, and honestly, it's pretty catchy. Haha, cough. Anyways, I'm done.
Thanks, Ryan. We'll take that on board and perhaps put it to the committee and see how far you get with that idea. Phil, not final, any closing thoughts from you, Phil?
Well, I hope the audience watching this will perceive the passion for Fulldome that each of these festivals have, and the collective passion that is combined for Best of Earth. We hope it is an additional signpost for people to see, to celebrate the Fulldome medium. And anyone who is from a planetarium and wants to start including footage and speaking to the right people at their place, perhaps having taken a look at what will be the winning films, after on May the 2nd, that might be a good point to say, well, here's some good examples of globally recognized Fulldome films. And, starting your own film night won't be easy. You are creating a new audience, probably. That's the whole point, right? And anyone who puts on events, who is an event promoter, will know it's challenging to generate new audiences. So it might not be sold out on night one, but, let's hope that going forward, the collective promotional power of Best of Earth can combine with your local promotional power, and let's get new audiences into these domes.
I love it. Well, I want to thank our panelists. Thank you so much, guys. This has been a great conversation. And thank you to my co-host, Michaela. It's been fun sharing the stage with you today. And I wanted to turn things over. Oh, thank you. I wanted to introduce Dan Napis, our chairman and president of iMERSA, to say a few words, and then I'll come back and give you instructions for the next piece. Dan.
Fantastic. Michael, and to all of you, Michael, Michaela, you did a fantastic co-host job on this, just as expected. Thank you so much. And to all the panelists who took time out of their busy days for the last few weeks to coordinate and make this happen, I think it was well worth it and greatly appreciated by myself and the rest of the team. I did want to make a quick observation about my personal perspective on Best of Earth and the entire conversation. From the beginning, we decided that this was not going to be a promotion about a single event. What this is a recognition of the evolution of this clearly international community, making use of our post-pandemic adaptation of virtual connecting. It's a common thing now. So we're going to continue to do this type of connecting and bridge building and community building that we see here today. And it's so exciting to see how well this fell together and how broadly and widely the bridges span to connect all of you. This is, as we said, just the very beginning of what's going to happen. So with that, we invite you to join us on our follow-up casual chat here on Oye, and Michael will tell us more about that now. Thanks, everybody.
Thanks so much, Dan.